Is your story too short to be called a novel, but too long to be called a short story? Well, then the Goldilocks length of a novella might be right for you. Although Goldilocks and the Three Bears is a short story, so calling it that might be a little bit confusing. Novellas are long enough that readers expect well-developed characters and settings, but short enough that delivering all that information can be a challenge. Different people will quote different lengths for what can be considered a novella. Based on my research, the consensus seems to be that a novella falls between 20,000 and up to 40,000 words, with some people pushing that up to 50,000 words. The generally accepted term for something below that, but still longer than a short story, is a novelette, and anything beyond that is considered a novel. Despite their brevity, novellas excel at conveying one particular theme or idea. A lot of the most famous novellas out there lean very heavily into their thematic elements. So if you're looking for some advice on the format, here are 3 tips for writing novellas. Tip number 1, slim down the cast and the plot. If novellas have one defining trait, it's their brevity. I mean, that's the whole thing that separates them from novels. A natural side effect of this brevity is that there generally isn't room for a large cast or a lot of side plots. Novellas generally hone in on one main plot and a smaller cast of characters. The advantage that this gives you is one of focus, because there is not a lot of distraction from other plot threads or potentially a lot of other viewpoint characters. Novellas allow you to focus solely on one particular plot or character. In longer novellas, you actually might spend more time with the focal character than you might if you had a novel with a larger cast and multiple side plots. This extra time with a character is one of the things that can make novellas really interesting, so make sure that you don't lose focus. Tip number 2, keep things simple when it comes to location and time. One of the best ways to conserve space in a novella is to simplify. We've already talked about reducing the number of characters and plot threads, but to really get the most out of this format, you need to simplify other things as well. A lot of novellas limit the number of locations to just a handful. If you aren't moving around too much, then you don't need to waste time describing new places or new settings. This also lends itself to the faster pace that novellas are known for, since the reader doesn't need to slow down to digest new settings. Novellas often avoid long time skips, instead having the action take place over maybe a few days or even just a few hours. This again works to quicken the pace, since time skips tend to slow things down, which is kind of ironic. But it also lessens the amount of information that needs to be presented to the reader. This doesn't mean that the story itself needs to be simple or has to lack depth. Tip number 3, make sure your novella has a clear central theme or idea. One thing you'll notice if you peruse a list of novellas is that a lot of them center around a very strong theme or message. While a lot of novels can be difficult to encompass or to describe their theme in only a couple sentences, novellas are often very clear in this regard. It doesn't mean that their themes are simplistic or that the symbolism is meaningless or that the concepts they explore are straightforward. Novellas often explore very deep and complex themes, they just do it in a very focused way. The quick pacing that you get with a novella is often a side effect of this. Since you don't have as much page space, important elements and events that drive home the story's central theme need to be delivered fairly quickly. There simply isn't time to meander around or beat around the bush or whatever other metaphor for not getting to the point that you want to use. In this way, and this isn't always the case, but where a lot of novels tend to emphasize change, a lot of novellas seem to focus on universal truths or how things don't change. Novels lean into their inherent length in order to show how things progress and change through time, whereas novellas lean into their shorter length in order to drive home a point about a particular theme or idea. So dig deep into your story and try to understand its central theme and message. Build characters and a plot which drive this message home as efficiently as possible, and remember to use tools like symbolism to further reinforce your point. Remember that a lot of novellas are remembered not necessarily for their plot, but for the message that comes along with it. Speaking of remembering, I don't remember what the transition to the conclusion was supposed to be. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video and found the advice in it useful. If you want to see more stuff like this, you can check out all my other writing advice related videos and subscribe to my channel. I post new videos every Wednesday and most of the time on Friday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.